Welcome to the Journey of Hope. My name's Kevin. I'm the Executive Director at the Journey Neighbourhood Centre, and today we have a very special guest, Onzhane Walker, who is the manager of the Journey Neighbourhood Centre. And today we want to talk about vision and direction and purpose and why the Journey exists and what we do and where we're going with that. And that's actually all on Onzhane as the manager, because she is the person on site every day at the Journey and the one who has to make those decisions about what we do for programming, how we reach the community, and the difference we make. So no pressure, Onzhane, but
no pressure at all.
yeah. But I think I'd like to start off. I know that by the way, I should say there's an absolutely awesome interview with Onzhane on the NBUC YouTube channel that I'd encourage you. In fact, I'm going to point like this, or I see these people on YouTube, they point and they say, the link will be down below or over here somewhere. So we will put the link to that video. So there's an amazing interview with Onzhane where she talks a little bit more about who she is and the journey that she's gone on and ended up at the Journey. But I do want to start there from the perspective of why the Journey for you? Why are you at the Journey? Why are you the manager there? What is it that motivated you to do that? And what fulfillment or lack of fulfillment do you find in being the manager there?
Well, it's kind of the journey of the journey is funny for me. The Journey was a part of my specific journey, my journey in healing, my journey in transformation, my journey in discovering who I am. I actually was a placement student when I first started with the Journey, and it was a whole different experience for me. The certain programs we did, like the art program at Carey, really helped me as well with my first painting. And till this day, I still have it on my wall. Cool. I look at it every day. And it was just a matter of acceptance, I guess, and just having a home away from home. For those who know my story, know me personally, know I don't have a great relationship with my family and with some of my closest friends. So it was interesting finding a family within the Journey. Now that I'm the manager, I sign cards saying your Journey family, because really the Journey is like a family. It's a big family full of multiple people from different backgrounds. But I think what makes the Journey so special is that it's always been a safe place and a safe space for everyone. I mean, I used to joke about our brown couch that we used to have. That's gone now. But
yeah, my brown couch.
Your brown couch, your office, as he calls it.
Yeah, my office. Yeah.
I used to joke about the couch being the crying couch. Like every single person that sat on the couch had 1 or 2 sessions of just crying. And half of the time, it was Kevin, because he was a manager for a long time. And Kevin really didn't know what to say. Sometimes he would just sit there and nod his head and be like, it's okay, and give you tissue. That's what it was. And that's all you needed. And I know even for you and I, Kev, I've had multiple crying sessions with you, and it's just encouraging to find someone that just always sees the good in you. And the Journey, that was that for me. It was regardless of how bad my day was, regardless of how much my depression was kicking me, regardless of how much I didn't want to see the sun outside, it was just knowing the fact that I could go to the Journey. And even if I just sat on the couch, I just felt at peace. Even if I just walk in the door and hear all of Kevin's welcome to the Journey and then leaving and him saying bye in a million languages. It was kind of like, it was your signature. And I think when you approached me about being the manager, I won't lie, I was running from it. And it's because, Kev says he hounded me.
I did.
He did not.
Yes, I did.
He just strongly encouraged me to apply. But I think one of the reasons why I ran from it is because I couldn't see what you could see in me. I couldn't see what Steve or Jamie saw in me. I only saw who I saw in the mirror, right? And having someone that sees your potential, sees the things that you can do beyond your own eyesight, I think is what kept bringing me back. And the fact that the Journey never forgot about me, never forgot about my children, even if you didn't hear from me for months and weeks and even years. You'd call me and say, hey, we got gifts. Hey, it's Easter. Do you want to come by? Hey, we're having a barbecue. Or you just randomly text me and say, hey, thinking of you, or stop by anytime. And it was just constantly having that reassurance that I still have a family, regardless of what I was going through in my own personal life. And I think the journey is that for a lot of people, regardless if they're close to their family or not, regardless of where they're located, the journey has always felt like a home away from home. And I think that's what drives people back. And even people who left the community for years still come back, still stay in contact, staff, students, volunteers. And I think that's what makes the journey really special. Yeah.
So after I hounded you and you accepted the position of manager, what were your thoughts as you started the job? Because obviously you're stepping in to a situation where you had some history, but the guy who you were replacing actually wasn't leaving. So what were your thoughts as you started? What were your goals or ideas or things that you felt needed to be addressed?
Some of my thoughts were, how can I transform the journey into something bigger than it already is? How can I make this in a way a part of my legacy? How could I leave it behind? What am I going to leave behind? What do I want the community to gain out of it? What do I want to see? How far do I want to go? I was thinking about all these things, but I think one of the first things I really wanted to do was honor Keyshawn and Nicholas. I thought it was really important, given that we haven't really had an event for them in a while, and I didn't want their memory to tarnish. I didn't want it to fade, because as much as, it's been a few years and we're still in contact with the family, I think it was necessary to honor their memory, because really it was them who really got the journey started. It was the situations that made NBUC be like, all right, we need to be permanent here. And I think because they're a part of our community, because the journey really started due to their unfortunate tragedies, we have to honor them. We have to keep their memory alive, because really, it's unfortunate that the situations happen, but if it didn't, would the journey be open? Like, would that push have come? So one of the things I wanted to do was honor their memory and honor their families. And I think it was important because at the end of the day, Keyshawn Nicholas is a part of our community. They'll always be a part of our community. And regardless of who knew them, who didn't know them, they were in that community. So I think it was important to honor them.
I'm just going to, I think for the benefit of those who don't know who we're talking about, Keyshawn Williams was shot and killed in January of 2013. He was sitting at his computer, I guess watching TV, and someone came up to the back window of their patio and shot through the glass and killed him. And at that time, the church where we're actually recording in North Bramalea had been working in the community, and they did a memorial service. And that really became one of the catalysts for saying, hey, we got to do more than just visit the community. We need to have a presence. And then in June of 2014, we had a major fire in the community. I had only been on the job for 3 weeks, and one of the 18-unit townhouses burnt down, and Nicholas Gabriel was at a sleepover. It wasn't even his building, and he died in the fire that night. And that was a catalyst for the community really to rally and to come out and volunteer and be a part of the journey. So two seminal moments in the life, two of many seminal moments in the life of the journey,
So I think that was one of the first things I wanted to do, was honor their memory. And another thing I wanted to do was really add some spice to the journey. And I say that because I'm Jamaican and Trinidadian. I'm Caribbean, and we all about our spices and peppers.
I'm just a bland old white guy.
No, Kev knows a little bit about his seasonings. But I wanted to spice up the journey. I really wanted, because the journey was such a safe space for me, I really wanted to accentuate that to everybody. And I personally really felt that the journey wasn't doing enough for the Black and African Caribbean community. So I wanted to do more for them. I wanted them to feel more welcomed. And that's not to say that the journey wasn't doing that before, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to bring a little bit more focus on it, and bring more focus into the oppressions and the challenges and the systematic stuff that happens with us, and really bring more light with Orenda community, and really be out there more. So I tried my best to do that. I would say I tried making our presence more. I tried like honor Black History Month with different events. I just wanted everyone from every race, every culture, every religion, every tongue, it doesn't really matter, to all feel safe to walk through the journey yours. That was my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had an interesting conversation right when you started, because as well as you, we'd hired Fantasia to do community outreach and that. And we had to have a discussion about how the face of the journey was changing.
Yeah.
And what the implications of that could be for you two being the frontline workers and me being further away from it and that. And there's been some challenges.
Oh, of course. And I expect challenges to come regardless of where I'm placed. At the end of the day, I'm a young Black woman. I wake up every day with challenges. So it wasn't new to me. I was expecting it to happen. And I think in a way, like even you understood that was going to happen. And I think one of the first things we did was we had that conversation. We set our boundaries and we set, what's acceptable or not. And we were on the same page. And I think that really helped with my transition, because you being the manager for 9 years, you've built all these relationships with all these community members, right? That have been here, have left, come back, whatever the case is. And for me, as much as I was a placement student, I only had certain relationships with certain community members, right?
Yep.
Like they remember my face, they remember my kids, they remember all these things, but they didn't really know me. So I know, a part of me starting was that the community has to get to know me as a person.
Yes.
And I think it helped having previous relationships with some community members, because they're like, oh, Onzhane's fine. Oh, she's this, and I know for me, it was, how can I let the community know that as much as I am the total opposite of Kevin in a lot of ways, that I am qualified for this job with or without my qualifications. Let me add that. Because I find that people of color are really defined by what's on their resume and not them as a person. Like they're defined by their skills that's written on paper, or the tangible documentation that says I'm qualified to do this, when really, I've had the experience. I just needed the document that said I do. Right. And my goal was to let the Argyle and Orenda community, well, let me start with the Argyle and the Argyle community, know that as much as I don't look like you, I don't speak like you, I may have a different accent, I may have a different perspective of life, I'm not foolish to understand that you don't still have challenges. Even though your privilege might look different from mine, I know that systematically you still have challenges, right? So I think it was important for me, for the Argyle community, for them to realize that as much as I'm opposite of Kevin, I'm not ignorant to what you have to go through. And I'm still here for you. It's just in a different way. And in a way, kind of added light, right? Because me being a racialized person, I automatically have a lot more trials and tribulations that I have to go through. And I think it was a benefit in a sense when it came to the Argyle community, because I can say I've been there 10 times fold. For the Orenda community, I think it was more of a comforting thing for them, as much as, not to knock you, Kevin, you had your relationships with the Orenda community, but it's different seeing someone that looks like you. It's different having representation. So I think I would hope for the Orenda community that me and Fantasia being placed in these roles, they would feel more open and more comfortable with the journey now, because the journey is multicultural. As they say, it's transforming, right? So I think it was kind of like a relief for them to be like, someone that gets it is there. Someone that lives through it is there. Now it's just not, not just someone who reads about it or hears about it or hears the stories and has something or has compassion. This is a person that lives through it every day. She understands me.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah, exactly. And I suspect we're not as opposite as the picture we painted. We might look totally different.
Yeah.
We have different personalities and different life experiences. But I think that's one of the keys is that all humans have a lot in common. We just tend to focus on
the differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we care about our families. We want to get ahead in life. We want a roof. We want clothing, even though mine probably blends in with the back wall here or whatever. We have a lot that we do have in common, but I, I think it is important. We always talk about the journey being the community.
Mhm.
Well, part of being the community is looking like the community and having had, my life experiences are different, very different than most of the people in the community.
Yep.
And for them to have people on staff who have walked a similar path
Mhm.
is important because you bring a certain perspective, empathy, as a role model, say, hey, I've overcome. We've been doing a series on overcoming. And of course, there's a lot of your overcoming in your interview with Jamie, but maybe we should do an overcoming one at some point.
Hey, I'm always
And,
ready.
yeah. Because, it's important
Yeah.
because people need to hear. We all need to hear stories of where people have overcome a lot, have succeeded where the odds were against them.
For sure.
And that's quite frankly one of the reasons why I hounded you because you have overcome a lot.
Mhm.
So you talked about when you first arrived, you had some ideas about what you want to do, and
Mhm.
so you're coming up on, I can't count, but it was how many months? 6 months or whatever now. Uh, where do you feel you're at with that on that part of it? That's probably longer than 6 months, 7 or 8 now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost a year.
Yeah.
Surprising. Time
Wow.
flew.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been almost a year. I think I am, well, first I can say I'm never comfortable. I'm never comfortable with where I'm at. And that's not to say that I'm not doing the work or I haven't done anything. It's just I always feel like there's more to do. And sometimes Kevin has to slow me down. Like, all right, let's calm down a little bit. Don't overwhelm yourself. But I'm okay with where I'm at. I think that I've managed to show a different side of the journey. I think I've managed to show who I am, the things that I believe in, my morals, my ethics, and just really show the community that I am here for them, to help them in any way, but most of all to listen to the needs that have changed and listen to the things that they feel that the journey needs to improve on.
Yeah.
I really take that feedback to heart and I really
Yeah.
try to act on it.
Yeah.
So I would say that the journey is still in the midst of transforming. It's still in the midst of adjusting. It's still in the midst of, being in the pressure cooker with all the spices. We're still cooking. We're definitely still cooking. But
Yep.
I think that we're at a good start. And I think I have a good start for the first year. I think I really managed to get my feet wet.
Yeah. I just did the math. We're 8 months in.
Yeah, okay, 8 months.
Yeah. So what have been some of the highlights, some of the challenges, the good, bad, the ugly over these last 8 months for you?
Well, my personal challenge was I've never been in a management position. So I had to learn not to be a frontline worker. And as a natural person who has a social work background, that is incredibly hard. It is incredibly hard to stay in management role and not turn into a frontline worker, right? So I think I had to learn how to balance with, it's okay to do some things, but you need to stick to doing this. You need to stick to doing your management duties and not forget that you're not a frontline worker anymore.
Yeah.
I think another challenge was trying to balance how to be a good manager and also stick to being a good person. Because I think what ends up happening sometimes is we get all this power, it gets to our head, and then we forget that people are human. Like I say all the time to our staff, our students, our volunteers, community members, not to forget that they're human. You have bad days. And I had to learn that even as a manager, I have my bad days. I have days where I don't want to come in the office. I don't want to answer emails. I don't want Kevin calling me. But I had to learn that it's okay to be human, even being a manager. And you being my boss really helped. Other than like our personal relationship, we definitely do have a professional one. And even you have moments where you have to call me out and you have to be like, Onzhane, go home and rest. Or you need to relax, or you're too overwhelmed. And sometimes we get so caught up in what we're doing that we forget to look after ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that I'm surrounded with staff, with students, with bosses that care more about my well-being over anything else first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we're growing up, we had these sayings, I'd rather burn out than rust out. Well, the end is the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're burned out or rusted out. You're no good to yourself or to anybody else. Yeah. And I found, especially with placement students, self-care just, it goes out the window. And yet you don't have, you can't function for very long if you don't care for yourself. So what have been some of the things that you're proud of that the journey has done in these last 8 months?
I'm really proud of our International Women's Day celebration.
Yeah, that was good.
It was beautiful to see. And it was beautiful to see the community come out, and even community members that we haven't seen in a while or since COVID came out. It was so nice to see that. Just celebrating women and our successes and our speakers. We had Priya and Tamika, different women, different backgrounds, different stories. And my goal for that event was for everyone to find some sort of hope, right? Like in our community, in the Argyle and Arenda communities, the mothers are just so focused on their family, so focused on their kids surviving and thriving and building and growing and being successful. And me as a mom myself, we always leave ourselves behind.
Yeah.
And I was really intentional with trying to inspire the women in our community and remind them that you are important too. Right?
Well,
So I think that was a really big thing. And we got like small business owners to come out and give out some samples and vouchers to the community. I think that was really nice to kind of add that into that you can do it all. You can be a mom and a business owner. You can still be a mom and be a wife and a business owner. I think that was great. And even our Black History Month events, I think it was really good. We had an event at Sir Winston Churchill with the kids, and we had discussions about what does it mean to be a Black person in society? What does it mean? How does that feel? What does that look like? Who are people we could identify? Who are some of our own personal heroes? So it was really nice engaging with the students in that way. And even our own events with the school or even the paint night, stuff like that. It was just nice seeing community members come out and just seeing the reaction on the kids' faces to see representation. I think was really important. And I believe one of my biggest accomplishments was, other than getting feminine products into the community. I think that was work, y'all. I worked for that partnership. I'll tell you that much. So it was nice getting feminine products into the community that is free, because what the cost of living right now is ridiculous. And then I know a lot of people can't afford it. At one point, I couldn't even afford it. So I try to make sure I supply those resources. But the Memorial Night was my favorite accomplishment, I guess. It meant a lot. And it was small and intimate, but it was so big at the same time. Like in Jamaica, we say "Liko but talawa." So as much as that event was small, it was such a big impact. And seeing Tanya again and come out, and seeing Kelly, the Gabriel family, come out, and just allowing them to see that we still remember them, that we still remember their children, that we care, and we're not going to forget them. And that's another reason why I made the memorial wall, I made the plaques, because I want them to be known. They're not only tragic stories, but they were people. They were children of families that deserve to be honored. So I think that was really big for me, just for them to see that we remember them, we honor them, and we're not going to forget them. Yeah.
Just thinking too, food distribution, after school programs.
That's true. You see, I'm always, always. So even the after school program, we had 2 after school programs. We have a character building program that was happening, that was run by our amazing students. And it was just a transformation of seeing kids come out their shell, seeing them show up and, be consistent. And whether we had 10 kids, 12 kids, or 2 kids, it was just the impact, the relationships that the students built with the children and their families was beautiful to see. And we have our food haven that comes out every month. And to me, my ultimate goal is, how can I make community members' lives better? How can I make the families better? And I may not be able to do everything I want to do, but at least I know a gift card here and there helps, or a bag of food here and there helps. And so I try to really add more to the journey, add more to the community members and resources, and try to make their lives better, even if it's just a smile at a time.
Yeah, yeah. So we're 8 months into your position as manager, your reign as manager.
My reign.
We're still, in many ways, in theory, we're post-COVID, but in many ways, we're still dealing with the impact of COVID, and that. What do you envisage for the future? Where do you see things going, short term, long term?
In the journey in general, or
what we're doing, who we're about, where we could be?
Oh, I see the journey going big, going big. I see multiple locations. It would be nice to go even across Canada in different provinces. I think the journey has so much to offer to communities, challenged or not. And obviously, Argyle and Arenda is known to be a challenged community, but they're not the only challenged communities in Brampton. So I see there being many journeys, many locations into, I would prefer personally into challenged communities, because I feel it takes a village, right? And I think the journey provides that village with our resources, our partner organization, and even just crying on our couch, right? So I see multiple locations. I see the journey in challenged communities. I see us creating a big network of journey family. And I say journey family because we do really function as a family. Even our clients, our community members, our students, our staff, they're all clients of the journey. We're all here to benefit from the journey. So I see how the journey impacts lives. I see how it impacts families. And, one thing I noticed, especially with staff of the journey, is we don't realize how much impact we have until we get those random calls or those random messages, or after we leave and you run into somebody in the community like, oh, we remember you. We remember you did this and you did that. And it really helps. So I think with the journey being so impactful, with the journey being so family oriented, and even, I think it brings a different light when you look at the faith perspective, religious perspective, because as much as the journey reigns off of, Christian values, I think we just really show the humanity part of Christ, right? I think we show what kindness is, what love is, and what not being judgmental looks like, right? I think we just focus on loving others, regardless of where you come from, regardless of what religion. And I think that speaks volumes, because a lot of people have challenges with religious organizations, right? Because they don't fit within their framework and they're worried about getting judged. But I find with the journey, everybody's welcome and everybody's comfortable and everybody knows that they're welcome. And I think that's the really big difference that we make. That as much as we work off of Christian values, our end goal is that we love you, right? And I think I should say it, we love you. We love everything about you. And even on your hardest days, your easiest days, your brightest days, your saddest days, our love does not stop for you.
Yeah. Why journeys? I mean, what is it about the journey that makes it unique or special or effective in a community? Why should other communities have journeys?
Because we are a village. And that is a really small term for what I believe we really do. We are a village. We act as the bridge between the system and the communities that are forgotten about. We bring awareness about the communities and about the people. We advocate for our community members. What I find about the journey is we're not afraid to tell the higher ups that you're screwing up. We're not afraid to be like, what you're offering is not working for us. What you're offering is not great for the community. And I think that's what makes the journey special. And I think that's why there should be a lot of journeys, because I'll put love aside. We advocate and we advocate and we advocate. And whether it's one-on-one with the relationship with the community, whether a community member has an issue. And then we partner with different resources. We partner with different organizations that provide things that the journey may not have.
Yeah.
And we really just build a network of hope and support and confidence and love. And I think that's what makes the journey so special, is that as much as, we're small, we're big. We're big because there's a lot of people who, for children in the community that, their father's not around, or their fathers have passed, or they may have inconsistent fathers. They've looked at you, Kevin, as like their role model. Even for myself, growing up without a dad, you're like I call you my white dad, my white daddy. But you're like a dad to me, right? You fill in the gap. And even if it's a gap for a month or a day, it still makes such a huge impact onto their lives. And I feel like, even for me and Fantasia, whether we fill in the gap of being an auntie or a cousin or, the black friend or whatever the case is, I think we just add a family component and a village component in everyone's lives. And I think every community would benefit from the journey, given the fact that we are just about love, we're just about advocacy, and we're just about tell us what you need and we'll try to help. And I think that's what makes the journey special, is the fact we listen, and we listen intentionally, and every program, every decision, every funding, every grant that we get is all been intentional. It's always been about, is this going to benefit our community? And we're not afraid to say no when it doesn't.
Now I know why I hounded you. Thank you for watching this through to the end. The journey is a special place. I didn't know anything about the community at all when I got the advertisement that they're looking for a manager. We're coming up on our 10th anniversary this
I know,
year. Yeah,
a decade.
Yeah, a decade.
Amazing.
And I went, had the interview. I got to know the community, fell in love with the Ardglen Orenda community and the people there. And so we're grateful that you watched the end. You have a sense of the vision. You know why I hounded Onzhane to take on the manager position. And we look forward to another decade after this of serving multiple communities. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.